I'm Xanthi, and welcome to my talk with Dr. Elias Boukrami, where we are discussing all things finance, his experience as an international student, and his advice for students coming to London to study a business and finance degree. Elias, do you want to tell us a bit about who you are and what you do at Regents?
Okay, hi Xanthi, pleasure seeing you as always. I'm Elias Boukrami. I am a professor of finance and investment. What I do at Regents is I am one of the 3 directors for business, finance, entrepreneurship. That is probably the largest content area we have at Regents University. And I personally oversee the programs and modules that are within the area of finance, economics, quants, and also sport management more recently.
Okay. Do you still teach?
Yes, I do. I do teach, and I enjoy teaching. I teach big modules in finance. So at the moment, I am teaching the first year students in BA Business and Finance. I lead a module of called Financial Market Instrument and Institution. So this is it's an immersive module into the world of finance. And we have about 100 students on that module. And yes, I teach every Tuesday is my teaching day. And is also to establish a relationship with our students, since, from the beginning of their journey. And in the previous term, I was teaching portfolio management and investment, also a big module with about 80 students for the MSc Finance suites. We have 4 suites of programs. Yes.
Okay. I've been in some of your classes, so I've had the student experience, and we've done one overseas together where you've delivered a taster session to students who are looking to come to Regents, and in that you talked about your experience as an international student. Could you tell us a little bit about your journey as an international student, why you chose to study in the UK, and why you ended up in London?
Oh, great question. As international students, I came to this country for postgrad studies following a degree in France and A-level back in Algeria. My dad, who's an economist, and he's also a very senior academic, so he always believed that economic science is an Anglo-Saxon science. That's the reason I came to the United Kingdom. And I had to learn English as any foreign student. I went to King's College, and then I did a master's degree in financial services in Surrey University, and then I went to Manchester to complete a PhD. So this is my journey as an international student. So I know exactly what our students are feeling like, what challenges they have, because myself, I have been an international student in the UK. So you said UK, why the UK? And the UK because is the city of, is the country of economic science. It is also a major player for the global financial hub. And that's, for that reason, one of, the best European universities in finance and economics are within the United Kingdom.
You actually bring me to a question that I was going to ask you later on, but because you studied economics, I studied economics, and I have always got students asking me why we don't have an economics degree. Obviously, you have economics modules as part of the finance portfolio, but why have you chosen to design the programs as finance-led rather than economics-led?
To be fair, because we have a business school, and the finance usually is a strong component of business school. So they've always economics department within universities. They always see the business school as an intruder to the universities, and the business schools, they see the economics department as less applicable to the world of business. I don't see much difference because finance is an application of the economic science, and the economic science is vague, is big, and because in Regents we've decided to remain focused on our learning outcomes. Therefore, so and the learning outcomes, as you know them, we have 10 of them. So they are about entrepreneurship, they are having a global perspective, a collaboration, communication. So maybe in the future there will be some degrees. Not all the economic science will be taught, but some of them could be considered to deliver. But the start of the journey is to have business degree that are distinguished. They represent the region's DNA in the marketplace, and also they are aimed and they are sought by the students. So even within the finance area, we don't do much accounting, we don't do much taxations, we don't do much public finances. So we very much focus on wealth management, wealth creation, risk management, and capital maximization.
Do you think these are the careers of the future? You think these are the best chance that students will have in getting the careers that they want, or getting high-end careers after they graduate?
Good question. The future will be very different from what it is today. So, because the pace of change is extremely high. One thing is sure, that technology will play a major role in addition to that. So the economic science is being revisited at the moment. So the factor of production is not anymore human or capital. So can you imagine that a connected object can generate growth? So that's the entire science is being revisited, and the future, so what we teach today. So, but however, the fundamentals will remain the same. So whoever will be creating the growth, so it's all about, fighting the agency problem, solving the asymmetric information, being more efficient, being more effective. And then we try to teach our students those fundamentals. And once they have the rational spirit, the entrepreneurial spirit, they can adjust. So yes, in a way, but but also we will need additional skills as well.
So what skills would you say are most important for students who are graduating now in entering into the workforce from a finance perspective?
So the first one is to embrace, number one is to embrace economic rationale.
Okay.
So time value of money, accept that time is the most important resources. Also embrace the risk requires compensation. They should never take a risk without seeking additional return. Also, they need to understand markets all the time, trying to see what is the complexity of the markets, how the markets are shifting without prejudging. Be always open to something that we never thought about can happen, and be ready for it. The markets, they decide on the prices. It's not your cost of production. It's not what you think should be as a business owner or as a shareholder. It's what the markets decide. So we also want our students literally to be good with information and data. That is crucial, but it is in the economic theory. Data and information should be the basis of decision making. And you should never decide if you don't have data or information. And then finally, always think about globally that stability creates welfare. Finance is not about speculation, taking excessive risk, and blowing up the system. It's about creating a general welfare that everybody should benefit with the lower prices of financial services, of goods, and of a technological use.
Thinking about your own experience as an international student, what unique opportunities do you think London presents international students who are looking to study financial degrees?
Oh, that's number one. We say London is the home of everyone, but it's also the home of no one. So I think that is so true. In London, everyone feels home. We hear different languages, different cultures. There is a space for everybody. It's a so diverse city. It's a so vibrant city as well, with a lot of character and a lot of, uniqueness, I would say. In terms of finance or international students, if you look at the higher education map already, that is the concentration of higher education institutions and also higher education excellence institutions or outstanding institutions are based in London. So there is a reason for that. The other thing is, especially for finance and business studies, there is always an event happening in London. There's always something happening. So the easy things is just you log in onto event, we don't want to make publicity, but on event website, event booking website, you just put fintech, and then in London every week there is a talk, there is a chat, there is a seminar, and there are free events where students can network. And number three is the concentrations of employers that are based in London, and also the capital providers. So London, over the last 5 centuries, has developed an ecosystem for business and finance that is unique. We have seen some structural shocks with Brexit, with COVID, but London is, the city of London has been very resilient and has been very flexible. And now people are still seeking to come to London, and there is a reason for that. Number 5, I would say the fifth point is London has a premium from a market perspective. If you want to buy property in London, if you want to live in London, if you want to study in London, there is a premium. That premium is also, as we said, there is a reason for that premium because London offers more opportunities.
That's a very good way to put it, that you very much get what you pay for. Exactly. When you come to study. So if you were going to study somewhere in the north of Wales where there's takes half an hour to get to your closest town, what kind of job opportunities does that present to you as a student compared to just walking out our front gate and down the road and you're in the financial district already? What areas of finance do you think are growing the fastest at the moment?
The areas of finance at the moment that are going as fast is, AI in finance. So that is, also the financial technology, and specifically, I would say blockchain. That can, this is likely to be the next shift into the means of payment. That we will observe. That is, and also, that is, understanding the financializations of business models, being able. So this is little bit more at a higher level. Students should specialize in luxury, we can say luxury hospitality, and then you will be specialist into understanding the business models of luxury hospitality or luxury brands in a specific sector. So having the financial rationale that are applicable to the specific sector, because luxury economics and technology economics are very different economics. They both belong to the economic science, but they obey to a different fundamentals. So I think that the more we specialize in an area, the more we develop a network in this area, we develop a reputation, but we will be able to understand the fundamentals and how they work within the area. So for sure is that is, as we said, being able to think fast. The technology is changing. The market are much more efficient. We're gonna reach perfection into the market. We will not reach, we will be close to perfection. So because the information will be free, will be unlimited, and there is a big reduction of lacks. And so that's the people. So you need to. That's why I said the technology, the AI, and understanding the background. At the same time, having a brand within the finance as well. So having a personal brand or a background brand within the area of finance as well, that is developing and is also important. So as a conclusion, it's be good with numbers always. You have to be good with numbers, be good with tech, be good with data, and also be good with communication skills and understanding others. And have this, something that I didn't talk about, but I should, is the psychology importance of finance as well. So the importance of psychology science and psychology fundamentals within finance. Finance is not only about numbers, but it's about understanding return expectations and risk perceptions. Those expectations and perceptions are a psychological concept. Rationale, it's a psychological concept. So it's not a surprise that 60% or close to that of bankers and investment bankers and financiers within the city do have a kind of psychology background. So that's something that we should not forget. And at the end, so it's students or people within finance, they need to remember that it's about convincing the client, convincing the financier who will give you the money or the one that will be investing in you. That requires also sales skills as well.
You've just mentioned quite a lot of the portfolio that we offer here at Regent, so psychology, luxury brand, luxury hospitality. How much crossover does your finance students get with those subjects? Do they get an opportunity to be exposed to those areas?
Very much indeed. In Regents we have our own model. So we do believe that we at Regents University London, we embraced interdisciplinarity. We were among the first ones actually. Now it's quite common and it's quite fashion that we talk about interdisciplinarity within business schools or within universities. So at Regents University we created a curriculum model. The curriculum model has 3 blocks: a block within the subject, which is business, finance, and a block within what we call it, the Regents modules. And those ones will include entrepreneurship, for instance, placements, understanding industry. So every single student at Regents University must understand how to learn and how the learning is taking place globally, about global issue. We have even a common module at Regents University called London Perspective. So you will learn about London. You will learn about business in London. You will learn about the history of London. But more importantly, from the second year and the third year, students can choose electives. They can choose 2 electives every semester. So we give students opportunity in finance to choose an elective from hospitality, or choose an elective in psychology, or developing a personal brand. So they're not big modules, but we give the opportunity to students to develop their weaknesses or to go deeper, let's say, in what they want to learn. And that is quite unique to Regents, that this model worked really well. So we've been testing the model for the last 3 years, and the results are amazing. And at the postgrad also, we have something similar, where students, let's say fintech can be chosen not only by finance, but you have someone studying psychology or someone studying fashion, someone studying hospitality. They can choose a fintech as an elective, because fintech is offered to everyone actually. So and therefore we will be teaching those subjects for people who are not specialists. So that is, and also within the classroom you will have students from a different area. So because knowledge is unique. Knowledge is unique. The knowledge is, you don't have knowledges, you have knowledge, and then in French is the same thing, and in other languages. So it's a composition of different sciences. And then you cannot work and learn in isolation. And that's why, for instance, I call Galileo, or I call, Leonardo da Vinci. They were multi-skilled, talented, outstanding artists, engineers, writers, and etc. So there is a reason for that, because they were genius. So, and therefore we understood this quickly, And that's why we want our students literally to be composed and also to be multi-skilled. Yes.
And this is much more reflective of the real world. When you go into the workplace, everybody comes from a different background, has a different something that they've studied or something that they've done before they've come there. And having students exposed to that gives them the opportunity to prepare for the softer skills that they need to develop to go into the workplace as well.
That's right.
What do you think about cryptocurrency as an asset class?
Wow, I keep getting this question. It's, I always go back to fundamentals. So cryptocurrency, I like the word when you said it, as a crypto. A currency, it's a unit of account. It's a mean of payment. And it's also an asset, as you mentioned, that stores value. So these are the three attributes for a currency. So if something is not used as a legal binding, is not widely acceptable, it could not be a currency yet, or it will be a currency. So the technology behind the cryptocurrency, it's a revolution, and that's the blockchain. And there are already central banks that have been working on CBDC, central bank digital currencies, and they will be in place sooner or later. They will be in place in order to improve the speed of circulation, in order to solve economic problem, in order to reduce the lacks, and in order to have a full traceability of the circulation. So the technology will solve an economic problem. Now, for people new in finance, I will not advise to trade highly, because you can answer yourself. Cryptocurrencies as they are, we have hundreds of them. I have a lot of that created on a daily basis, and there are some well-known cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin or Ethereum, so we know that. But we need to be very careful by students not, going and then testing with the trial and error, or because those are most of the cryptocurrencies, if we take them in numbers, are highly volatile. They are not liquid. They have high spreads. So it's not something you should learn finance on. We better learn finance on commodity like gold, oil, silver, and then you move to indexes where you can digest economic informations and have a trading strategy or an investment strategy. Because what strategy you would be working, what economic strategy you would be applying when you buy just a newly created currency? Will you be following the trend, or will you, you will be using technical analysis with some charting? And that is something that we should not do at universities. So, and that's my job as an academic, is to say, we teach economic fundamentals. We prepare students to be future investment bankers or future financier, but it's not a training course to go and to trade on the spread betting. And that's the difference. So I would say, do not trade or start trading in highly volatile assets. Yes.
What research in finance excites you the most at the moment?
So the research in finance. So during my journey, I've started with derivatives, and then we moved to business models, etc. So at the moment is always in assets pricing is AI. How is AI at the moment is how AI is shifting the world, is how AI literally is questioning the economic theory, as I mentioned. So we are in a revolution stage where, for instance, people will not have to work as much as before. So having a high number of hours does not necessarily will lead to higher economic growth. For instance, that is So the area of finance is the business models with technology, the integration of technology and AI into the business models, and the relationship between economic growth and post AI revolution era. So that is, this is something that, is already shifting the world. We've talked about blockchain. Blockchain is one of them. I think you've seen in London, there is a car that 2,000 cars, we call them driverless cars, they are being tested. So will have an enormous economic implications in terms of the efficiency of transportations. And then we will have the drones coming. And so that technology will require specific economic infrastructure, technological infrastructure, and human infrastructure to embrace that technology. So what, in terms of investments, in terms of adoption, what prerequisite should this infrastructure have in place? Because that's, some are ready, some are less ready. And then if you're not ready for it, you will take further delay. And that's what I am interested in, is because that is having an impact on the assets classes. So because we are pricing assets, and then everyone talked about NVIDIA. NVIDIA is the largest company in the world. And then with returns that have been phenomenal, but there is a reason for that. There is a reason for that, because what do we need? We will need chips. If, as I told you, connected objects will be used as an economic agent, what do you need? You need more chips. If you need more chips, you will need more minerals. Gold has nearly tripled in value. So why, if you have gold tripling in value, why do you want to go and seek for something extremely high volatile that is likely to lose value? So let's understand gold. Why gold has been tripling in value? Because there is demand for it. Where is this demand coming from? You have the central banks, the tensions, central banks buying more gold, but more importantly, it's gold is the benchmark for all those minerals. So it's the benchmark. And then, then we need minerals to produce chips.
Which is interesting, because obviously we go back to ancient times, gold was traded for whatever people needed. It's always been the currency. And as we've moved away from mining and sort of primary industry, that's still the currency that we come back to as a society as holding the most value. It's really interesting. I've just been in Zimbabwe on holiday, seeing my family, and the gold mining landscape has absolutely exploded. The economic activity has exploded. And where's all the demand coming from is the question everybody's asking. One thing that you would want students watching this to take away from hearing you speak, all the things we've talked about, what's one thing that you would want them to think about as they're going forward in applying for a finance degree?
Good question. Number one, it's do something that you love. So really do something that you love. Don't do something that because you have to do it, or if you're not convinced, don't do it. So that's, I fell in love with academia because, I've worked a bit for the industry, I've tried it, but my mentor and advisor, when I was doing a PhD, he said, Elias, you cover my lecture. And I was 24, I went there. And I fell in love with teaching and with academia, and then with sharing knowledge. So I think what I say to our students, do something that you really enjoy and you see yourself. Be always, the second one is, make the best use of your time. You talked about gold. Gold is an asset, but time is the most important resources. And the more you will grow up, the more valuable will be the time, and the less time you will have. So that is, I am nearly 50, so now I see the value of that time. So that's it. Invest the time in something that you like, you enjoy, and you love. And the other thing is, be always keen to learn. Be always keen to learn. I mean, if I tell you that, yeah, we did a PhD, we did a master's degree, we did that, how much do I apply from my PhD as the research itself? Not much today. But the skills, the process, the journey that I've learned during doing the PhD or during studying, those skills, this experience is what is making the difference. So it's not going to be your assignment in finance or this, but is how you manage pressure, how you went and you sought for advice, how you have developed a network, how you have approached your teacher, how did you find the right book or the right site. And so that process. And finally, it's the pleasure is not being on the top of the pyramid, is the pleasure is in escalating the pyramid.
Thank you, Dr. Elias Boukrami.